Okay.
All right, we've got you now. Chris, you wrote a story about David Blatt and how he's a different coach. What is it that makes him different this season?
Well, I think you could, I touched on his, first of all, I touched on his interactions with the media and how on occasion or two, a time or two, I felt like he was a little defensive, especially when anybody would ask him about questions pertaining to being a rookie head coach. And obviously, reporters were just talking about being an NBA rookie head coach, but I guess you guys know, everybody else know Blatt didn't like that too much. But, that was just one thing. And I also touched on the connection that he seems to have with his players now. It seems to be a smooth transition for him in year two as far as knowing the intricacies of his team and the league. It's been an adjustment period for him, and that's something that he didn't acknowledge last year. Whenever you ask him about adjustments and things that he had to learn, he always talked about, hey, well, I've been coaching for well over 20 years. And, I've pretty much seen it all. Nobody believed that. And I think even at that time, I don't even think Blatt even believed that. But I think he felt like he had to answer questions in that manner and that tone to try to, I guess, I don't know, just get the confidence of the fan base or the league in general. But, he's done a phenomenal job, in this short time, this brief time. You can just see little adjustments he's making. You can just see the connection he's having with his players. And so far, so good for him.
Chris, if you go back to last year and you talk about David Blatt and some of the things that he learned along the way, what do you think needed to happen? What do you think he needed to see in his first year in the NBA to have the kind of epiphany that he had going into his second season?
Coach LeBron James. I mean, that guy right there, I mean, that's a hard task for any NBA head coach. And for a guy, like I said, I wrote it in the story, when you had some Russian reporters coming over here and asking us, well, why is the media so hard on Blatt? Like, what's the problem? It's not Blatt's fault. It's Brian's fault. He's not listening to Blatt. And over there, I had learned that the coach is the revered figure. He's the one that gets most of the lines. Like, players come and go over there, and Blatt didn't have that. That's not the world of the NBA. Blatt realized that. And it might not have been, all the friction and all the chaos that went on with the Cavs. It might not have been Blatt's fault, but he was going to get the blame because in this league, the first to go is the coach. So I think that just going through all those ups and downs and the controversies of the NBA season, I think that was the epiphany for him to finally realize, hey, I'm not the untouchable guy in this situation.
Chris, you've written about Timofey Mozgov. You talked to him. Chris Fedor, of course, has written about him as well in his observations the other night. With Mozgov, look, this is a big center. It's almost a dying breed in the modern NBA. He hasn't gotten his minutes in the fourth quarter, which was a storyline last year. How do you think Mozgov has performed, and how do you think he's handling this situation?
I think he's performed well in the time, that he's played. Obviously, last game, I even tweeted about it. He missed a couple bunnies, and you should have just seen the look on LeBron James' face when that happened. It was priceless. But I think he's doing fine. The problem is that he's a big 7'2" guy who's a great shot blocker, but he's playing in a league where there's not too many guys like him. Not guys of his stature. The league right now is in the midst of the evolution of playing small ball, where you got traditional power forwards occupying the center spot, and then you have four perimeter players surrounding that player. And so Mozgov is just taken out of the equation on most nights. And, there's not many, the Dwight Howards of the world, Dwight Howard, who else? There's not too many big, dominant, 90s traditional centers out there. And so I think they're going to use them during spells. But, that lineup of Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, and LeBron James in the front court, that's a versatile front court, man, that can switch different things, and they can play with speed. It's just, There's just a lineup that Blatt feels most comfortable using. So it's unfortunate, especially with Timothy Mozgov being in the contract year. You know, there was talks about him possibly being able to get the Supermax over the summer. Well, obviously, if the numbers aren't up to par, that Supermax talk is going to go out the window. So definitely it's a frustrating period. I think you can read, you know, my story and in between his quotes. He's definitely frustrated, but he's a model guy. I expect him to be professional and handle this with, you know, with care. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out and if he's able to keep up this level of professionalism if this persists.
Chris, Mo Williams was here once in Cleveland. You covered him when you were in Portland. What is it about this situation this year that's allowing Mo Williams to flourish? I mean, he's having the best season of his entire career. What's different about him?
Well, and the difference is he's getting more quality looks, and he really doesn't have to do anything. You know, when he played with LeBron James before, he was the second player in command. He was a focal point of the offense, which means that you have to work to get him shots. He has to work to create a shot. He doesn't necessarily have to do that here. Everything comes so easily. When you got LeBron, Kevin Love on the floor, even J.R. Smith to a certain extent, man, defenses sag off of you. You know, the defense is not as strict and not as tough as they were before. So now he's playing a situational where, man, all I got to do is beat my guy. I don't have to worry about the secondary line defense. It makes the game so much easier. And so he's out there just playing. And I think that's the reason why he's having such a phenomenal start, is because, simply put, it's that much easier.
Chris, this is an interesting road trip coming up for the Cavs. They've got New York, they've got Milwaukee, they've got Detroit. New York is New York, but Milwaukee and Detroit are obviously division teams. They aren't pushovers. Milwaukee wants to contend in the East. Detroit wants to get there. What are you looking for on this road trip?
Definitely. I think they'll take care of business in New York, as you mentioned. New York is New York. Milwaukee and Detroit, some intriguing matchups there, man. Milwaukee is they're on the upstart, man. They're on the upswing. Jason Kidd has those boys playing. Jabari Parker, I'm interested in seeing what he's going to contribute to the league. He's just now getting his legs up under him. And in Detroit over there, guys, Reggie Jackson's playing great. But look, who predicted Drummond was going to be putting up numbers like this, man? He had 27 points and 29 rebounds a couple of days ago.
Yep.
Golly, that's like Wilt Chamberlain type numbers, man. Like Charles Barkley used to put up numbers back in the day like that. So I'm very interested in seeing if the Cavaliers can keep the momentum going from start to finish, because we've noticed as of late these slow starts. Now, You can't get off to those slow starts and think you can just turn the switch on the road. Milwaukee and Detroit, come on now, these are some real boys over there. So, I want to see if they can keep that momentum and hopefully not have to depend on a halftime speech to get their blood flowing. So, those are things I'll be looking for.